All right, you guys, it's me again with another audio message, I guess. I got to figure out a term to call these. I don't know what to call them, but I guess a message, whatever. So, yeah, actually, so today I was on Instagram and I came across a post of a classroom, and it was a girl who, she was one of the students, and basically like someone behind her was recording her taking a test. They were all taking a test, but what she was doing was using AI and taking pictures of like each of the questions and getting answers out of them. And so like people in the comments, like they were going back and forth, debating whether she's learning or whether she's teaching. And people was like, like this new generation, they're not learning anything, and they're concerned about the future, especially like with AI and all this other stuff. And there were other people, that were saying that this is really no different than having answers in the back of a textbook, or even before AI came on the scene, like say if we had like an open book type of test, people will go online, or if you're taking like online courses, they'll go online and they'll look up the answers, instead of actually like doing it the quote unquote right way, or the traditional way of like actually studying, memorizing it, and being able to answer the questions on the fly. And personally, I have done this before. I've used AI like in some of my courses, and I've also used like, just looking stuff up, even though I wasn't supposed to. I looked it up. Like I've done it for like assessments for jobs and stuff like that. And I don't know, like I understand both points. I would say when it comes to AI, I don't know if this is what she's doing, but people should definitely double check. And before even like being concerned about the answers, I feel like people should understand what they're asking, because that's really how AI is most effective. Like it's most effective when you know what you're asking for, and you know the type of answer that you want to get. But if you go into it not knowing anything about it, or not knowing enough, the answers that come out, could be true to you, but it's not true at all, because you had no idea, So, but with that being said, as far as like, the generations that's coming up now, and, on the rise with AI and the way learning is changing, I don't think that the traditional way of learning, I don't think that is gonna be as effective these days. I don't think that it should be taken away completely. I do still think that there should be training, to build skills in actually reading and writing and comprehending and being able to memorize important information and being tested on it. I do think that, that does train the brain of being able to like build these skills, but at the same time, somebody also made a point about how it really just depends on how much it matters to the individual, to that student, because if it is a topic that the person doesn't resonate with, or they don't really care to understand, they might not put as much effort in to that particular course or subject, and it doesn't mean that they're lazy. It just doesn't interest them, or it's not really explained to them in a language that they understand. Everybody has their own preferences, and there was some talk about like the grading system and all of that too. And I do think that also plays a part into it. That also could be a reason why some students, including myself, or even some others, like say if I was a kid growing up in this particular time, and growing up, math wasn't always my strong suit, but if at that time, if it was something that I didn't really care for, I care for it now, but at that time when I didn't really care for it, I probably would have used AI, because again, that's a class where I just want to get by. But, yeah, like I do feel like some kids, they might just want to get by on a particular subject and not, just be so hung up on something that they really don't have a passion for. And I don't think it's necessarily bad if a student don't have a passion for math or science or whatever like that. Everybody has their own preferences and everybody has their own strengths in it too. And it's usually when they get older and they have more experience and stuff, that's when the lessons start to kick in, but yeah, so like I think they said it was like using Canva or something like that. And I feel like people really need to just get used to just changes. There's going to be shifts all across the board, not just when it comes to the workforce, not just when it comes to prices and inflation, but also with the learning system. I do think the banning, students from being on phones and using AI and stuff, that's not going to help. That's going to make things worse, because there are other countries at this very moment that are teaching their students, their kids on the internet, like in being able to like build their mindset on how it is when, like, what to expect when they actually engage, with the digital landscape. How can they decipher what's real and what's fake? How to use their own discernment. I don't think enough of that is being taught within the American school system about using their own discernment. Growing up, I think most of us, especially Black folks, and I've heard stories, especially like, with Black kids growing in Caribbean households or African households, or if they're, foreign, like it's always about going to school and getting good grades, and then, getting yourself a stable, respectable job like a lawyer or doctor or engineer or whatever. And it's all about, that report card, right? They want to see those A's and B's. But like, like the other person says, like it's a lot of times I can't, like, all right, so there's some stuff that I remember, but there's a lot of things that I don't remember, from that school. Like, as much as I care for math now, there are still some things in math that I learned that I haven't used to this very day, and not saying that it's a waste, but I do feel like, if there was more room at that time to learn more about personal issues, mental issues, or mental development, like using your own discernment, being able, to have to make decisions on the fly, being able to handle, your peers. I feel like these are more valuable skills that people need to learn, especially when it comes to dealing with social media and the internet, which is pretty much embedded into our everyday life. And now with AI here, be restricting that. And I understand AI is still like in its infancy stage, and it hasn't been like, it's getting more, it's getting a little bit more of a handle on it. But, like I understand, like it's still early, and some of this is not as accurate and stuff like that. But I also feel like that's also the part of learning. Like people can't be afraid of errors and, mistakes. And I have my own, comments on AI and the level of control that it should have, because personally, I feel like that creative freedom does help in some ways. But I understand, it's accuracy and all this other stuff. But yeah, like I feel like that's a skill that kids need to learn. The other thing that was mentioned, which I thought was a really good point, was that there was a reference to Naruto, right? The Chunin exams. So anybody who watched this particular arc, the Chunin exams, they had these really hard questions, and pretty much like they made it so hard to where the kids really are supposed to cheat, you know. But it's not about how much you answer the answers and how, you know, you do it the right way, or you know, by the books. It's really about being able to gather information and being able to work together as a team, and then also being able to have the courage to, you know, stand your ground, you know, in your decisions by any means necessary to fulfill the task. You know, that's really what it was about. And I feel like, you know, in this day and age, if kids are using AI or other methods, you know, to get the answer, I don't think that's completely bad. You know, I do think that there needs to be some skill building on how much you gather information and how much you're able to use different sources and go from different sources. You know, with everything being online, that again builds on your own discernment, right? Being able to understand what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, you know. And there's going to be people that agree with you, and there's going to be people that don't agree with you. It happens all the time, especially in the tech world, in the scientific world. In every industry, there's going to be challenges to it, you know. But I don't think that there should be a ban. And I do think that there are people who are saying, like, this isn't the right way. They're not doing it the right way. I mean, the right way that we know of today wasn't the right way back then, you know. So you kind of have to, like, open your mindset to that. I do think at some point, you know, there's still going to be some pushback for some people, but it will be a part of the school system. But I don't think that it's going to be in at this very moment. And there's a whole root cause to it. I do think that the way that they trained us growing up, and I think this is between several generations, they bred us to be consumers, you know, and I'm talking about in American culture specifically. They bred us to be consumers, like, and yeah, while they did teach us different subjects, and you know, we became doctors and lawyers and all this other stuff. There's different professions. You know, they didn't really teach us on how to master taxes or master the stock market or economics, unless you specifically went into those subjects. But they didn't teach us this from a young age. They didn't, you know, they gave us a little bit of skills with computers and stuff like that. You know, I've dealt with computers, but you know, I do think that overall this government wasn't prepared, you know, for this level of freedom and creativity. And even now with AI, I feel like they're trying to have like a control over it. But there needs to be some freedom in there, and there needs to be some space for errors, and there needs to be some space to break the rules and defy the rules, because that's how you evolve. And so yeah, you know, so that's my take on it. Like, I understand, you know, that there is a purpose behind doing things the traditional way of just studying and memorizing and being able to take, you know, tests and answer questions from the top of your head, especially when it comes to communication. You know, you got to know what you're talking about, but that all comes with practice. And, you know, the other way that there's many ways you can take in information, including using AI. And I feel like in this day and age, in the landscape that we're in, with technology on the rise, is being embedded into our everyday lives, there does need to be some space in how we can use AI into our curriculum as well. So that's all I really want to come on here and talk about. So until next time.